Okay, today we're going to do all the rest of Joshua. Just kidding. We are going to do all of Joshua 4, and it's longer than normal, but go ahead and pause me and read all of Joshua 4. Okay, Joshua 4 is basically crossing the Jordan. And it talks about the 12 stones representing the 12 tribes, and each tribe had a man that could carry a stone. He had to carry it on his shoulder, so it wasn't like a teeny-tiny rock. It was a hefty rock, and I'm sure that they got big guys because they're going to be carrying rocks, right? So these guys carried, one from each tribe, carried a rock across, and the rock came from right where the Ark of the Covenant is staying. So they carried it across to Gilgal. We'll get to that in a minute. And that's where they were going to camp. And or maybe not Gilgal. Maybe they just went across where they were going to camp that night. So they went across. They set these 12 rocks up as a memorial. And the big lesson is verse 6, to serve as a sign among you in the future when, not if, but when your kids ask, what are that bunch of rocks mean? You'll be able to tell them. So your kids will ask. They will ask questions, and you need to be prepared to, if not answer them, because you won't have all the answers, at least address them and be willing to work through some solutions with you. And this comes all the way from toddler through my experience 32 years. They're still asking questions, and so you just need to be prepared to address them. One of the things that happens as you get through the Old Testament is the people they quit telling their kids about stuff, and the kids are going to ask, and they just blew them off, and so the kids forgot that there was even a God. So be prepared to ask. So they put these stones and they set them up. And then the people hurried over, probably scared to death because, oh my gosh, there's 2 walls of water on either side. And this group has never crossed a river on dry land before. And so they get to the other side, and remember that these, the Reuben, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh, just the men, not the rest of the women and children stayed behind. So they had 40,000 men armed for battle. They crossed over. And then that day, the Lord exalted Joshua and made him as important to the people as Moses was. And the question is, if Moses was so great and the people loved him so much, why did they rebel so much? And I think one of the reasons, and commentaries say this, one of the reasons is because that's our natural impulse. We're basically children who are straining against authority. That's our human nature. And we might respect our parents, but we want some freedoms too. So that's a fine line of knowing, and God has given us freedoms, but we definitely need to respect his authority. Anyway, so Joshua's the guy now, and Joshua commanded the priests to come up out of the Jordan, and no sooner than they had set their feet on dry ground, the waters returned to flood stage. So that's a pretty big deal. That's a real big deal. And so on the 10th day of the first month, and we could talk for hours about the Jewish calendar, they set up at Gilgal, which is east of Jericho and west of the Jordan. And that is where the 12 stones were set up. And again, it says, in the future, when your descendants ask, what do these stones mean? Tell them. And what he says is, tell them, Israel crossed Jordan on the dry ground. Dry ground. Again, dry ground. This is, I don't know, that's hard for me to comprehend. And the Lord your God did to the Jordan just what he did in the Red Sea. And he did this is the most important verse to me. He did this so that all the peoples of the earth might know that that the hand of God, of the Lord, is powerful. Yeah, well, that's pretty powerful right there. Dry ground. You've just parted the waters, and immediately, okay, parting the waters is a big deal too. And that you might always fear the Lord your God. So fear there means reverence, respect, don't take lightly, and a little fear. Tomorrow we'll go on to Joshua 5.